Hi, welcome to Nina in the Kitchen, where today I'm making my quick version of eggplant parmesan. I've worked on this over the years, and so I've learned a few tricks along the way, and I'm going to share them with you today. I wanted to make an eggplant parm that was not a labor-intensive project, but rather something that goes together and you can use it weeknights. So here we go. I have 2 American eggplant, and I'm just cutting them. You can cut them across the equator if you want. I'm just cutting them lengthwise. I do not bother to salt them. I'm cutting these into about, I would say they're about 1/4 inch pieces. And after I finish this, I'm just going to organize the kitchen, and we'll go to the next step, which is making the sauce for it. And the sauce is just a very simple red sauce. The eggplant sliced. What I do is I leave the skin on. You don't have to. And with these end pieces, I actually just kind of go in and I just take these little slivers off. Put this in a 400-degree oven, and I just take, eggplant is like a sponge, so I just take a little oil and I brush oil on all of these pieces. You don't have to even oil both sides, I've noticed. This is, you just want a little bit of that oil flavor in here. And I just do a little salt and pepper on each one. And now these go into the oven. Hi, well, the eggplant is in the oven, and while that's roasting, I'm going to make the sauce. This is a very simple sauce. You can use it on pasta, but it goes so well with eggplant. It keeps it light and fresh, and so here's how you make it. All that you do is, I have enough oil in this pot just to fill the bottom of the pot. To that, I'm going to add some garlic, and you don't want to brown this. You want this just to slowly cook and flavor that oil. I have a pinch of, this is red pepper. If you don't like red pepper, just don't use it. But while that's sort of flavoring the oil, let me show you what else I have. I have fresh herbs. You don't have to use fresh, but please use fresh parsley. But I have, I would say about 10 stems of parsley. I'm going to use the leaves and the stems today, but I'm going to finish with some parsley leaves at the very end of this cooking. And then I have some fresh oregano. This is called true oregano or Greek oregano. All that I'm going to do is take out a little bit of kitchen twine from my handy dandy, what used to be nuts container. And I also, if I walk you down here, I have some fresh basil. I'm going to give about 3 leaves to this pot and the stem. So the stem goes in there, the leaves can be torn up and put in. And I'm also going to put some dried basil in there. This looks good. As you can see, the color is starting to change. It's becoming fragrant. So now the tomatoes go in. That was 2 28-ounce cans of tomato. And my bouquet of herbs will go in. If this makes too much sauce, and I suspect that it will, that's fine, because I'll freeze some of it in a Ziploc baggie and put it on pizza, or I'll find another use for it, so I'm not worried about that. I have some basil here that's dry, and I'm just going to crush that as I put it in. And we can't forget the salt. Just a little sprinkle of salt in there. The eggplant just came out of the oven, so let me show you what it looks like. You see, this was in for 8 minutes at 400 degrees. It's just starting to brown around the edges, and if I pierce it with a knife, it's tender, and the thicker pieces, you can feel a little resistance, but I'm not worried about that. because this is an eggplant parmesan. It's going to be a casserole. It's going to have tomato sauce on it and cheeses, and it will go back in the oven. So that will finish baking in the oven. So we're done now. We're just waiting for the sauce, and that will be another, probably, I'm going to give it 10 minutes. Well, the sauce is ready. Everything's ready to go. So this is how we finish the eggplant parm. I'm going to take these herbs out of here. I'm going to just sort of take my spatula and scrape this bundle, and what comes off goes back into the pot, and what stays on here gets tossed away. Now, if you use dried herbs, that's fine. You probably want a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon and a half in this for dried oregano. Fresh herbs, you always use twice as much because they're not concentrated because they haven't been dried. So here I have some minced parsley, which I've minced up. That goes right in. And I want to show you a technique called a chiffonade. A chiffonade is where you take these leaves of basil and you just sort of lay them out and pile more basil on top, and then you just roll it up like a cigar, and then you go down at one end and you chop right through. And a chiffonade means chiffon-like, so it makes these little ribbons that are very chiffon-y, so if that's a word. So they go in. And now we're ready to build the eggplant parm. Here are my ingredients. I have the eggplant, of course. I have my sauce. The sauce goes in first. That goes on the bottom. You don't have to make it very saucy, just that's one ladle. This is a 9 by 13 inch pan. So one layer of sauce, and you always start there so that you can pull this out. And then I just layer the eggplant in here. If you get to a point like this, you can use a smaller piece, but you can also just cut these, which I like to do, to make them fit. And I go front to back or top to bottom. And then that's a nice little strip for that. Then on top of that, I'm going to do another thinner layer of sauce. So just a little splash on each of these eggplant and smooth that out. And because we didn't fry these, there's a texture that's missing because we didn't fry these. So I put panko breadcrumbs on top of the eggplant, on top of the sauce, I should say. And that's the first thing that goes down. So now we're going to have, because these are panko, they won't get soggy, so you're going to have that nice little bit of crunch. And I'm also using a Pecorino Romano cheese rather than Parmesan cheese. And the reason for that is because, again, because we didn't go really heavy with breading these and so on, then I feel like the Parmesan cheese is not robust enough. So instead I use Romano. And then just keep going. So it'll be one more layer of eggplant, sauce, breadcrumbs, Romano cheese, and mozzarella cheese. And by the way, this mozzarella is a fresh mozzarella cheese that just happened to be on sale. If you can't find this, not a problem. Typically, I use the stuff that's in the dairy section, you know, the stuff that's in the shrink wrap package, you know what I mean. So, and that cheese is absolutely fine to use. I just happen to have this one, so I'm going with it. I'll see you when it's ready to go into the oven. Well, I had 3 pieces of eggplant, of course. You never end up with an even layer, right? So I'm just going to put these across the middle, and this is going into a 350 oven for about 30 minutes. So here's the last breadcrumb. It's half baked and it's going in hot. So you really don't need to keep it in for too long, and I'm not even going to bother covering it. This is a whole milk mozzarella, and as you can see, because it's fresh, it's exuded some whey, which is fine. And I'm not worried about that in the oven because that will dry out. I'm not going to cover this at all. It's going in just like this. Let me just clean this up, clean up the edges. It's going in just like this, and in 30 minutes, it comes out, rests for 15 minutes before you can dig into it. Oh, and the way that you know if it's ready is that all of these cheeses will be bubbly and golden brown. And when it's golden brown and lovely and delicious, that's when it comes out. And 15 minutes after that, we eat. Well, we're back and it's time to taste. And it smells so good. I had about 3 cups of sauce left over. And that's perfect for doing a pizza. So pizza is on the menu eventually. I put the leftover sauce inside a Ziploc baggie, and that is in the freezer. And who doesn't love these strings? Let me just taste this for you. This is a great summer meal. It's really good. It's light, it's creamy, but you don't miss the fry at all because I think the breadcrumbs are in there so you get that idea of it. This is really spectacular. I hope this inspires you to try a quick version of eggplant parm. You no longer have to slave over the hot stove all day long to get it on the table. And please, if you like this video, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It's free. I'm also on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram. Nina in the Kitchen. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.